When Super Mario 3D All-Stars released in September of 2020, I finally had a chance to play Super Mario Sunshine, Mario's GameCube adventure which debuted when my gaming resume was mostly jump-starred in Winnie the Pooh. While I'd watched numerous people play through it in several different ways, speedruns, completion speedruns, and more casual runs, it was my first time experiencing the game for myself. Unfortunately, it didn't hold on to me as strongly as its predecessor or successors have, and in the time since I found myself contemplating why that is. The best answer I've come to is that Super Mario Sunshine's progression is fundamentally different from that of Super Mario 64 or the Galaxy games to follow, and that progression has continued to fluctuate in the games since. So let's talk about it. Before we get to Sunshine, I want to take a look at its immediate predecessor and Mario's third-dimensional debut, Super Mario 64. Mario 64 was a 3D platformer to lay the groundwork not only for other 3D platformers, but the collect-a-thon subgenre, which focuses, naturally, on collecting objects of numerous forms and functions around a three-dimensional, obstacle course-style environment. At the start of the game, Mario arrives at Peach's castle to find her held captive by Bowser, along with the rest of the castle's residents. Being the professional hero he is, Mario wastes no time in jumping to the rescue by taking the one route accessible to him, a doorway in the foyer leading to a painting of Bob-ombs marching to war, which is itself a magic gateway to the game's first level. Jumping into this painting presents the player with a single hint to their first objective: Big Bob-omb on the summit. While this goal is the only one the player is nudged towards, they're free to roam about Bob-omb Battlefield as they please. They can even acquire different power stars than the one they selected, as long as there's no conflict between them. Notably, poking around at most other available doors in the hub world tells them that they must have a certain number of stars to enter, but makes no assessment of which stars they must collect. Ultimately, reaching the climactic duel against Bowser requires just 70 of the game's 120 power stars. The only specific missions they must complete are the earlier fights against Bowser to recover keys to other parts of the castle, and a single mission needed to enter one of the aforementioned fights. While a new player is unlikely to take this route, they could easily pass up Big Bob-omb on the summit entirely. On the surface, Sunshine looks quite similar. There's a hub world, more courses and abilities become accessible as the player progresses, and each course contains several shiny golden objects to collect, this time shine sprites rather than power stars. However, there are some key differences. Upgraded hardware allowed the developers to more drastically change the content of each course for new missions. This makes each shine sprite in a course, on average, a more distinct experience compared to the different power stars in a single level of Mario 64. This also means that the only shine sprite available at a time is the single one the player selected, aside from the occasional secret shine. Thus, each shine must be collected in a linear order per course. The final confrontation with Bowser only opens after collecting the 7th shine in each of the game's 7 main courses, which in turn requires the first 6 shines to be collected. Between just these two games, there is a major discrepancy in the value of the primary collectibles. In Mario 64, the single absolutely necessary power star is an outlier. The rest of the 70 total stars required to reach the final Bowser level can be any of 118 others. In Sunshine, the only shines that matter for reaching the final boss fight are the 49 obtained by clearing the first 7 missions of each course, and the 2 shines at the beginning and end of the game. They have the same number of these key collectibles, but nearly 70 of Sunshine's 120 shine sprites ultimately have no value unless the player intends to collect all of them. This includes the 24 which each require 10 blue coins to purchase, utterly nullifying the secondary collectible as well. The 120th star in Mario 64's Bowser in the Sky acts as a cherry on top for a determined player, allowing them to take the very last bit of power from their foe's grasp right before fighting him off for good. He even has new dialogue if the player has all 120 stars when they fight him. Meanwhile, Sunshine's structure makes over half its collectibles little more than a checkbox for a completionist or a distraction for a casual player. My completionist playstyle means all this doesn't really impact me. I move forward exactly when I please, and not a moment before I've gathered all the important things I can. However, it makes Sunshine feel somewhat disingenuous, a mostly linear experience masquerading as a wide-open collect-a-thon. All that being said, Super Mario Sunshine is not a bad game, and saying so is not the intent of this video. While I am not overly fond of it, it remains a beloved entry in the Mario series, and a poster child for the innovative, occasionally awkward experimentation of Nintendo's GameCube era. So, how did Nintendo continue to adjust their mascot's adventures, and what impact did Sunshine have? Skipping forward a few years, Super Mario Galaxy took a sort of middle ground approach. Once again, there are 120 Power Stars to collect, with 60 required to face Bowser in the final fight. With the march of technology, there are now more levels than ever to explore, with the game's galaxies split between 6 domes and a couple of bonus areas. Each dome contains a handful of galaxies, including a boss galaxy required to unlock the next dome. Like Mario 64, most galaxies are unlocked by collecting a certain number of Power Stars, and like Sunshine, the stars in each galaxy are found in discrete missions and can generally be obtained in a strictly linear order per level. This balance means that there are several early stars which the player must obtain, but the further they get, the more options they have. A mere 15 stars in Super Mario Galaxy cannot possibly lead the way to the final boss, and only because they act as post-game challenges to a determined player. The greatest change comes from the structure of the levels themselves. Mario 64 and Sunshine have mostly open, freely explorable levels, while Galaxies run the gamut of open sandboxes to more linear obstacle courses. Galaxy is also the first to start offering more content to completionists. Getting all 120 Power Stars allows the player to replay the entire game using Luigi, who jumps higher in exchange for lower traction. And collecting all 120 stars as Luigi unlocks one final mission for both Mario Brothers, set in the same Star Festival which kicked off the adventure. Super Mario Galaxy 2 marked a shift towards greater linearity, which continued through Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World. In Galaxy 2, the hub world is reduced to the much smaller Starship Mario, which traverses a more traditional world map to reach new galaxies. Clearing the first mission in a galaxy allows the player to move forward, and in turn, several gates on the world map require a certain number of stars to pass. Aside from the occasional branching path or optional galaxy, this makes at least the first mission in every galaxy on the way a requirement to reach the end, with the player's choices filling in the gaps past that point. Even after halting Bowser's Last Stand, however, there are more galaxies to unlock by collecting enough stars. Giving him a rematch after collecting all 120 unlocks a further 120 green stars scattered throughout each galaxy, which in turn unlock one final challenge. Both 3D Land and 3D World retain the world map, and are in fact more structurally similar to the new Super Mario Bros. Series than the 3D games before Galaxy 2. Each one has a generally linear path of levels, which contain collectibles, star medals for 3D Land, green stars and stamps for 3D World, but not as the primary objective. Like Galaxy 2, each game has several points where the player must have enough collectibles to progress, and there are several challenges after the final boss fight, which open up depending on how many they've obtained. This finally circled back around when Super Mario Odyssey debuted in late 2017. It boasted a return to the sandbox style of Super Mario 64 and Sunshine, with wide-open kingdoms for the player to explore at their leisure. These kingdoms are littered with power moons. It's exceptional for any kingdom to contain fewer than 30, and a handful are required along with any major objectives to move to the next kingdom. Once again, most any moon could provide the next step towards the final boss encounter, though some argue that the sheer number of power moons serves to devalue them in the opposite direction. Outrunning a T-Rex while riding a scooter offers the same reward as kicking one particular rock approximately 13 times, and either one can move players forward. Bowser's Fury, Mario's most recent outing included with the Switch release of 3D World, leans in a similar direction with a fully connected world, but balances its secrets with discrete objectives on several main islands, activated when the player returns to the entrance gate. I don't enjoy Super Mario Sunshine as much as other Mario games, and that's fine for me, and it's fine that other people do. Each of the broad systems I've described today appeals to a different player demographic. As Odyssey neared release, Shigeru Miyamoto described the design philosophy as shifting back towards the sandbox-style core gamer appeal of Mario 64 and Sunshine. In contrast, as this promotional graphic shows, the Galaxy games, 3D Land, and 3D World leaned more into the casual pick-up-and-play audience, which was so prevalent after the explosive success of the Wii. While Sunshine's design is undercut by the inconsistent value of its core collectibles, I've reflected even while working on this, that several of the other games approached similar qualities from different angles. Part of Odyssey's abundance of moons was in an effort to give more casual audiences a path through the game too, and Bowser's Fury approached a happy medium. Only time will tell what the next step will be. Thank you so much for making it this far into the video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I'm trying something new with the channel in the new year, and I've got several game design analysis videos coming up, along with game development prototypes and more varied content a little further down the line. All that being said, this has been Chaotic Teal, signing off, and I hope to see you next time. Later, everyone.